Being born in October, I couldn't help but always like love Halloween. Halloween's obviously when things hit October, things get spooky. And Halloween's like a dope holiday. Like everyone dresses up, there's costumes, there's a bunch of candy and shit involved. And it's honestly just a good time. Like it's a fun thing. You get to get all scared, you get to get all crazy and creepy. Things like vampires, druids, and gargoyles, and all those things start getting mentioned. And it's just spooky season, man. It's a great time. Disney Channel movies get great. It was always a great memory for me to being born in October, obviously having a birthday. But one thing I never really thought about was why do we celebrate such a dark holiday? Like, has anyone ever just asked themselves why we celebrate Halloween? Let's try to take a little deep dive on why we celebrate Halloween. Nah, I know I won't. Are we ready? Three. Yeah. Two. That way. V Live like Houston. Oh, bro, it's the session. For me as an October kid, I see this month in two colors, orange and black, because nightfall gets heightened, the season changes, and it's like the sun starts going down sooner. Pumpkins are all around, pumpkins are everywhere. Everyone's doing Halloween themes, Halloween festivals. But it's always cool being able to like walk past houses as a kid. You see the decorations and shit. And it was just Halloween spirit. Like all the stores change over. They start selling their Halloween shit. You start seeing the big dumb bags of candy in the aisle. As a kid, bro, that's all you can ask for is like a bunch of fucking candy. Fun costumes to be whatever cartoon character or superhero or sports player you really love. You got to live in that fantasy. I remember being as a kid and like Disney Channel movies were the hot thing for me. Disney Channel Halloween was goated. They had me in a chokehold. Like it was so like, bro, Halloween Town got it. Disney is low-key the reason I was such a Halloween kid at the time. As I got older, Halloween kind of changes for you when you get older. You go into you start having like adult Halloween parties, and it goes from like scary to like sexy. And then it's like, all right, now Halloween's a time for everybody to dress slutty or funny. It got funny. Not even just slutty. Halloween got funny the older you got. Because, now you can get you get creative with your costumes. You know more. There's more, you got more money and shit to put behind your costumes and time and skill to make a costume. So now, like, even in adulthood, Halloween's a pretty dope fucking holiday. It's a let loose holiday for people of all ages. It's usually party themed and, themed around your favorite characters that you like to be. And that's awesome. That's an awesome time. That's a great thing for people to just step outside their comfort zone, do some fun shit. But as I got older as an October baby, I was always wondering, like, why do we celebrate this shit? Like, why do we because low-key, Halloween's kind of dark. Like, scary movies is a big thing for Halloween. Like, skeletons, ghosts, paranormal shit. It's bats. Like bats are like bats are scary as fuck when you look at them. There are some bats that actually suck fucking blood and they hang upside down. Like they're creepy motherfucking animals. Halloween's dark, man. Like a lot of the scary movies, like there's a scary movie fucking sequel, Halloween, and it's about a killer, Michael fucking Myers. Michael Myers is the main guy. He's the killer. And we love Halloween. We love Michael Myers. Why do we love the dark shit? Like, why do we love killing? We love being scared. We love haunted houses. Like, why? Why do we like haunted houses so much? Like, why do we like being scared? Is it like as a dopamine rush? Like, what is it about Halloween? Why do we celebrate? So one night, on some high shit, of course, I was like, man, why do we even celebrate Halloween? So I pulled the Chat GPT out. We got on Chat GPT, man. That's what we doing nowadays, guys. Low key. There's kind of no excuse to be dumb or like not know some shit that you want to know with shit like ChatGPT. You can't not use ChatGPT, dude. So we got to take this shit back. So Halloween started as like a Celtic festival in what's now modern day Ireland, Scotland. It originally started off as like a festival, guys, like a fall festival, like a harvest festival. You know, think about a bunch of guys, ending of the season, same thing like it is now. It's the seasons are changing. It's the harvest, the main harvest. You're harvesting all your jive, you know, and then they throw a big party. So that's kind of like the general sense of how things started. It was one of like 4 major holidays that they did celebrate at that time, and in surrounding areas like England and France, it was their main harvest season. It marked the end of their harvest. All the work they put in all summer. You know, imagine a bunch of Celtic guys and, you know, whatever, if they were wearing the skirts and they're just, you know, some big, strong Celts, like, you know, They drank a lot of beer, that's for sure on that day. That was a thing. Because there was no, like, refrigeration, so they would make fresh beer, you know, for, like, that week or whatever. And there would be a lot of beer drinking, so you can only imagine. It was just like a great, grand party, probably a lot of drinking, a lot of sex, a lot of, you know, just eating of meats. They did bring in the cattle. That's another part of their harvest, was bringing in the cattle. So I'm sure they slaughtered and sacrificed. They did. They sacrificed and slaughtered some meat, which they would eat a lot of meat, drink a lot of beer, have fun, probably have a lot of sex. And, you know, it was a great thing. Now, and what's important to understand is certain things from that culture really sticks today with Halloween. So, for instance, the slaughtering of their meat, they would use what they call druids, who weren't like evil creatures. You got to think about these guys as more like high advisors, like chief of staffs. They were like high advisors to the priest and like the kings or whatever. And these were guys who did like the sacrifice ceremonies. You know, they did the sacrificial things for the meats that they would eat during these festivals, along with it being like a big harvest festival. So yeah, the druid. And that's a thing we use today. We think of druids as some like evil shit, whereas it originated as druids originated during the Celtic culture as like advisors to the high priests and the kings. They weren't always looked at as some like evil entity. Druids was kind of evolved to that over time. Another thing though that was important, so we take that druid thing today and still within our Halloween, but another thing that was important, the Celtics had this huge party. So they ended up having these parties and they named it Samhain. That was the name of this party. So Halloween is ancient Samhain. They had this big party, and then on October 31st though, specifically, they did believe that there was a different spiritual world that came into very, very close contact with us in the physical world. They believe that on October 31st, that veil between the spiritual and the physical world pretty much closed. A lot of superstitions and a lot of things like that started to develop. It just goes to show too that like ancient times also believed in spirituality and spiritual things, and like that there were evil spirits and there were good spirits. So there were different practices that started to take place during Samhain because of them believing how thin the veil between the spiritual and physical world would get. And part of those practices would be like giving to the less fortunate. So they kind of believed that since October 31st, the spirits could just roam the earth. That if you went door to door and someone was to knock on your door and you gifted them with food, that you would get good luck and you'd be protected from the evil spirits. And so that's kind of how we got that trick-or-treating thing, because they used to go around, it used to be for the less fortunate mostly. They'd go around door to door and ask for food on that day, and people would be giving. They'd usually probably have food stocked up to give, and fruits and whatever they've grown. And they'd give and give out because they wanted the good luck to be protected from these evil spirits that could possess you and take over your body and do all this other stuff that they believed in. So Samhain was a harvest festival, also / like commemoration of like the dead spirits. And they believed like they would do things like wreak havoc, that these evil spirits would come and wreak havoc to their crops, and they really feared these evil spirits, man. Like, I don't know what happened during those days for real. So we see the developing culture of the Celts within today's Halloween on how they believe the spirits would come on October 31st. They would go door to door and give people food for good luck, and they even took advice from those druids we were talking about on how to wear, you know, animal costumes, and they would light fires to ward off the evil spirits. So October 31st was their day of like acknowledging the spirits, making sure they did what they were supposed to do to like stay away from these bad spirits. So I don't think it was more so of a thing than to like, you know, adhere to the spiritual world like we kind of do now during Halloween. But then it was more so like wear animal skins, so that's kind of how costumes developed. They would wear animal skins, scare off the evil spirits. That was kind of how we get this costume thing today. So we took a lot of stuff from the Celtic culture and just in terms of Halloween. Obviously, that's how it started with Samhain. and today. So they used to do things too, like a lot of spiritual practices. I read somewhere with they would throw apples over their heads, and like whatever shape or initial or something like that it landed in, that's who they would marry, or some like they did spiritual games for love during that time. It's safe to say that October 31st was like cuffing season for the Celts, because that was the time they would usually like boo up. If you can like think about the little games, they used to do things with like nuts. They would throw nuts into a bonfire and interpret the way they burned to gain insights into their love life or financial prospects. These guys were really spiritual on this October 31st day. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, is October 31st some type of real like spiritual day? Because how could it's been, and one can only think it might not, like, who, because there was no official guy who said Samhain is this official party. You can only think that this Samhain party started a little probably before then. It was probably already a normal practice, and it developed into Samhain, which developed into what we know as Halloween. And so it's also important to know that when Christianity took over, guys, Christianity spread through all of like Europe, basically. They actually developed that Halloween. They kind of stole it. So they had a holiday called All Saints Day. It was also nicknamed All Hallows Day. All Saints Day, and then they had a day called All Hallows Eve. All Saints Day was not November 1st, and so All Hallows Eve was October 31st. And that's kind of how we got to the development of Halloween. So it was Samhain at first. Christianity takes over. They come in with their All Saints Day, which is like the commemoration of their spirit days. And, they nudge them over, and they're like, well, All Saints Day is November 1st. So All Hallows Eve is October 31st. Now you can kind of see the direct correlation to Halloween and the Celtic cultures and how quickly advanced it is. But now what we got today is a dope fucking experience. Halloween's an awesome holiday that, you can enjoy spooky time. It's still kind of cuffing season. Like Halloween does kind of mark cuffing season for us. Like everyone gets booed up. You kind of get all snuggly. It becomes a great thing for just the human soul. But it kind of makes me wonder, were they onto something in Celtic cultures, knowing that there was a different veil between the spiritual and the physical world? Because if they were practicing as such back then, and we still kind of take this spooky theme today very seriously, it almost makes me wonder, is there truth to, them being spirits that come on October 31st? And we're not even the only culture. The Celts and the Christians aren't the only culture. I know that there's like Day of the Dead shortly after Halloween in like Mexican culture, and they celebrate the dead and the dead spirits. And so you see a common theme around this Halloween time with dead spirits, ancestors, and ghosts, essentially, which is what a spirit would be, right? So it almost makes you wonder, should we be taking Halloween like more serious as a holiday, right? If all these cultures before us knew that Halloween and spirits were coming around these days, or they took these days to specifically commemorate them, why is that? Why do we not look at that? It was important to know that the Celts also used Halloween as like their start of their new year. They had like, 2 seasons, light and dark. They used that as like the start of their new year. And that's actually a thing. I don't know why we start our new year so randomly in the winter. It should probably start either when the life starts to die off, like the nature, like leaves start falling off the trees, and it should probably like regenerate or start again when there's spring. Like, does that not make sense to anyone? It should be between spring and winter time. That's just like obvious. Like, I don't understand our time. We're gonna have to do an episode on time, because who the fuck came up with this shit? Like, why do we do our calendar is weird as fuck? But the Celts were on to something. They took that day very, very seriously. They had fun, but they also took it very seriously in terms of spirituality and things like that. So I just wanted to give you guys like a quick update on like what Halloween really is. Like, I'd never really taken the time to think back, and it's honestly kind of a short history. That's really it. It started as their like harvest festival, developed into this spiritual practice thing, and then now it's like trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. It's obviously a little more detailed than that in terms of like what exactly they did, but the main gist of it was that it was like a harvest festival turned candy eating costume fest. So shout out to the Celts though, because I'm a huge lover of Halloween. I love the Halloween movies. The Halloween movies are one of the greatest sequels to ever come out. Halloween Town, those movies on Disney Channel, bro. Like Halloween on Disney Channel was one of the greatest things ever, bro. It was like, it literally had me in a chokehold. Like Twitches, like when Twitches came out, bro. I know you remember Twitches, bro. Twitches was fire. Twitches 1 and 2. Halloween Town 1 through like 3, absolutely fire. And then every show like Zach and Cody and That's So Raven would start having their little Halloween themes and shit like that. The little scary episodes. Yeah, so the Celts knew what they were doing with making these Halloween festivals for us because it was great. I think Disney Channel helped propel what it is today in some of these movies, like Hollywood. They probably pretty much propelled it to be as massive as it is now. But yeah, man, just a little brief history on Halloween. If you guys like what you see today, like, subscribe, comment, hit the algorithm for us. If you want to see more content, exclusive content, like some videos of my personal opinions on things and, you know, some more conversations I got with the homies, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/thesessionpodcast. $5 can support this channel. Help us keep it moving. More content and stuff on the way. Shout out to Simeon, man. The Session Podcast, we signing out.